I knew two friends who thought they were brave. Alex and Sam, walking into an abandoned cabin deep in the woods. They laughed at the dark, joked about ghosts, until the walls started to whisper. At first, it was just whispers, faint, like wind through broken windows. But soon, the shadows twisted, reaching, stretching toward them. They ran through the cabin. Every door led to the same room. The furniture moved on its own, paintings swayed, the light flickered. Then a voice behind them.
You didn't believe, you laughed, you joked about us.
They turned, but nothing. The shadows silently moved, watching, waiting. When morning came, the cabin seemed normal, but the friends were gone. Their laughter lingered somewhere in the walls. In a crumbling house at the edge of town, a mother tucked a little girl into bed.
Don't open the door if you hear me calling tonight,
She whispered.
no matter what.
Hours later, scratching echoed in the hallway. Then, her mother's voice.
Sweetheart, open the door, Mommy needs you.
The girl trembled. She remembered her mother's warning. A doorknob rattled. Her mother's voice grew sharper, desperate.
Nian, I'm cold out here, please.
The girl buried her face in the pillow until she felt a warm hand stroke her hair. She turned. Her real mother was lying beside her, and together they stared at the door, still shaking under the fists of something else that kept calling in her mother's voice. The girl clutched her mother tight as the door shook and the voice screamed. Then, silence. Her mother stroked her hair again.
See, I told you not to open.
She whispered. The girl, still trembling, whispered back.
Mom, but you told me that before bed, from the other side of the door.
Her mother's hand froze, and slowly, with a smile that wasn't hers, the face beside the girl leaned closer.
So which one of us do you think is real?
Tonight, sleep with your eyes tightly shut, my little friend. If you don't, he will come. His glowing eyes search for anyone awake at night. If he can't find his next victim, he roams the houses, scratching the walls with his long, sharp nails, rattling, waiting. So keep your eyes shut, even if you hear a noise. Even if you feel someone sit at the edge of your bed and tug the blanket, do not open your eyes, because if he sees even the tiniest light in your eyes, all you will feel is the smell of damp and mold, his breath, and then it will be too late. You will wake up in a deep grave with no exit. The last thing you will see and feel is his glowing eyes and the smell of damp and mold. The children came to visit their grandmother. The evening was warm, the house smelled of freshly baked bread, and everything seemed calm. But then, something changed. The grandmother began acting strangely. Her voice dropped, rough and unnatural. She sat in the dark kitchen, staring into the void, smiling with blood on her lips. When the children tried to run, she appeared in the hallway, moving far faster than an old woman should be able to. Late at night, they all woke at once. The grandmother stood at the foot of their beds, breathing softly, whispering words they couldn't understand. Her hands were ice cold, her skin gray, and her eyes glassy, lifeless, yet terrifying. By morning, the neighbors found the children alone, hysterically crying. The grandmother was already dead. She had died that very evening. Before it all began, whatever had stood at their beds could not have been her. He had just moved in,
A new start.
he said to himself. Unpacking boxes, placing things on shelves, when suddenly he froze. He glanced outside, children playing in the neighbor's yard. He smiled, relieved, continued unpacking. He ignored it, thinking it was just them, but the voices were already inside, counting, watching, waiting.
10. Ready or not?
The lights went out. Only the moon lit the room. Then he noticed the yard outside was empty. The children were never there. He turned and saw pale faces smiling in the dark.
We found you. Your turn to hide.
And that very night, the house mysteriously burned down. The owner was never found. Only his footprints remained in the ashes, surrounded by dozens of tiny, child-sized prints. Student was house-sitting in an old farmhouse deep in the countryside. The house had no curtains, only wide, dark windows reflecting the lamp inside. Around midnight, he heard a faint scratching, not at the door, but at the upstairs window. He froze. The second floor was 20 feet off the ground. The sound stopped, replaced by slow, deliberate knocking that echoed through the house. He grabbed his phone. No signal. Suddenly, the landline rang. Against his instincts, he answered. Distorted, hollow voice.
I already know where you sleep.
His skin went cold. He turned off the lamp, sat frozen on the bed, heart pounding. Then came heavy footsteps, not outside, but from the attic above. What would you have done that night? Like and subscribe if you dare. They moved into a house far too perfect to be real, spacious, silent, with a strange rotting smell lingering in the air. No one told them that just a year ago an entire family had been brutally slaughtered in their beds in a single, horrifying night. The first days were calm, but then it began. Icy drafts tore through the rooms, though every window was tightly shut. At night, the children screamed as something stood at the foot of their beds. When the father opened a door, a bloody handprint oozed down the wall, pulsating, as if alive, then vanished. From the basement came heavy, dragging footsteps. No one was there. One night, they all awoke at once. A shadowy figure stood at the end of their bed, eyes glowing, wet, furious red. It breathed, loud, suffocating, and every time they blinked, it was closer. The house wanted them to stay, but they ran, barefoot, leaving everything behind. And to this day, the house waits, patient, hungry, for the next family to move in. They call her La Sayona, the vengeful wife. Once a beautiful woman, she roams the forests, seeking men who have been unfaithful or wicked. At first, she appears enchanting, her beauty irresistible. Men are drawn to her, thinking she is innocent and lost. But when they get close, her true face emerges. Fangs and razor-sharp nails, eyes burning like hellfire. She punishes those who betray or sin. Some say her victims vanish without a trace. Parents tell this tale to children, warning them never to be wicked or unfaithful. La Sayona, she seduces, she kills, she never forgives. This might be a true story. In 2009, a young couple moved into a small rented house on the edge of town. The landlord warned them that the basement door tended to stick shut and that they should avoid using it. On their second night, they were woken by the sound of someone pacing slowly on the wooden floor below them. The man grabbed a baseball bat and crept downstairs, only to find the lights flickering and the basement door ajar. From the darkness came a steady knock, 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 whispered through the crack.
Who's there?
A woman's voice, eerily calm, answered,
I live here, and you're in my room.
Terrified, he slammed the door shut and wedged a chair against it. But when the police arrived minutes later, the door was wide open again, and the basement completely empty, except for a mattress in the corner. I was driving late at night on a deserted road, far from the city lights. The moon hung huge and round above me, casting pale shadows across the empty asphalt. Car radio crackling and distorting. I ignored it, but I thought nothing of it. Just the kind of night where strange things feel normal. Suddenly, my car sputtered and died. I was stranded, alone, in the middle of nowhere. The silence pressed in on me. Then I heard a car approaching, just one headlight piercing the darkness. I breathed a sigh of relief until a low, mournful howling started. The closer it came, the more horrifying the sound. I dove into a ditch as the car slowed to pass me. The engine stopped. Silence. Want to see what happens next? Let me know in the comments if you're ready for part 2. I peeked. Nobody, just an empty road. Gathering courage, I stepped onto the road when I heard another engine, 2 headlights, relief, a pickup, old, battered, and a dog growling inside.
Ah, bien.
I got in, and the ride was nothing I'd ever experienced. The driver pressed the pedal to the floor, tires squealing through every curve. The headlights flickered, then went out completely. I froze. The driver's smile was twisted. I begged him to stop. He only pushed the pedal harder. Moonlight disappeared behind dark clouds. He glanced at me, laughed, and the truck stopped. I jumped out as soon as I could. The dog kept howling. I ran to the city lights, to the safety of a hotel. I told the receptionist what happened. She went pale and showed me an old newspaper. A picture. The same pickup, the same dog, the same driver. They had died on this road years ago, drunk. And now they haunt it still. Some roads you don't want to drive alone at night. They say her name is La Llorona, the weeping woman. Long ago, she was a mother, a wife. But one night, in a fit of rage and despair, she drowned her own children in this very river. Some say it was a punishment for betrayal, others say madness took her. But whatever the reason, she never found peace. Her spirit wanders the rivers, eternally searching for the children she lost. They say if you hear her cries, it's a warning. She cries for her children, but some who hear her never return. Across Mexico and Latin America, parents warn their children, stay away from the water at night. La Llorona may be near, and she may mistake you for her lost children. La Llorona, she is always watching, always weeping, and always waiting. The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not just quiet, but the kind that waits. I stepped inside the house. The door slammed shut behind me. I shouldn't have been here. I knew it immediately. The silence pressed against my ears. My heartbeat thundered. I wasn't alone. Shadows moved wrong. Corners breathed. My reflection smiled when I didn't. Every door led to a room I didn't recognize. The windows showed a sky I had never seen. Black clouds shifted like liquid. Then the whispers came. Not voices, thoughts. In my head, in my body, in my bones. They told me things I hadn't lived, things I would do tomorrow. I ran. The halls never ended. The floor became soft, swallowing my steps. I looked back, nothing. Then I realized I was being followed, not by something visible, but by certainty. I don't know what comes for me. I don't know if I can escape. And the worst part, the house knows. It's been waiting. The silence is alive. I felt it reach me. My body went cold. My mind went silent. The walls swallowed me whole. The floor closed above my head. And then I realized I wasn't the first. I wouldn't be the last. The house had eaten me, absorbed me, rewritten the halls. Its doors opened again. Shadows waited. Somewhere far away, a new family approached the empty house. The walls whispered,
Welcome. We've been waiting for you.
and the cycle began again. Two friends stayed alone in the school dorms during the holidays. The halls were empty and the air felt heavy. The first night they heard knocking at their door. When they opened it, no one was there. They thought it was just the wind. The second night they walked the dark hallway. Suddenly, one of them felt heavy breathing on his neck. He whispered, "Stop walking so close behind me." But his friend answered, "What are you talking about? I was in front of you the whole time." They froze. Behind them came a third pair of footsteps. At the end of the hallway stood a dark figure. But when they turned on the flashlight, the figure was gone. Then his friend whispered, "I think someone is watching us." The next night, they locked themselves in their room, but at midnight, the door handle began to move. They pushed a chair against it, but then knocking came from inside the room. The walls shook with every hit. Suddenly, the lights went out. In the darkness, each of them saw something impossible. Their friend's face standing too close, whispering their name. But when the lights flickered back, their friend was on the other side of the room, just as terrified. The night ended with silence, but they never spoke about what they saw. In the morning, both looked pale, with dark eyes, as if they had not slept in years. And then, one of them whispered, "We are not alone." The morning finally came. The dorm was quiet again, almost too quiet. Both friends survived the night, but something inside them had changed. Their faces were pale, dark circles under their eyes as if they had not slept in years. Neither of them spoke about what they saw, not to each other, not to anyone. But from that day forward, they could never sit in the dark again. Even the smallest shadow made them flinch, and sometimes late at night, they swore they could still hear those extra footsteps following close behind. Part 1. The Vanishing. In an old village, surrounded by endless forests, children began to vanish. At first, one every few years, then one every few months. No bodies were ever found. Parents whispered that the woods were cursed, but no one dared to leave the only home they knew. Every night, strange sounds echoed from the tree line, like children laughing, but distorted, too sharp, too wrong. The village elder warned never to answer the laughter, never to follow the voices. But curiosity is cruel, and one night, a boy followed the sound. By morning, his bed was empty. His window was wide open, and all the villagers heard, carried on the cold wind, was a faint whisper. One more. But this was only the beginning. Part 2. The Woods. The disappearances grew bolder. Children were taken even in daylight. Mothers locked doors, nailed windows shut, but still, the laughter found its way inside. One girl swore she saw her missing brother standing at the edge of the trees. His eyes were black, his mouth stretched into a grin far too wide. He called her name in a voice that was not his own. The villagers gathered in the chapel begging for protection, but the priest was trembling. "This is older than God," he whispered, "older than prayer." That night, the bells rang on their own, and when the villagers rushed to the square, they saw small footprints, wet, muddy, leading from the forest straight into their homes. Part 3. The Truth. The elder finally spoke. The forest was never cursed, not at first. When the very first house of the village was built, Workers found a massive stone in the woods. One day, a child wandered too close, and beneath that stone, he was crushed. From that day, the laughter began. At first faint, then stronger, until more children started vanishing. Not because of a pact, not because of gods or demons, but because the child who died that day still wanted to play. Now, he plays with the missing ones. He wears their voices. He steals their faces. And every night, his games spread further, through the trees, through the homes, through the cradle of every newborn. The villagers realized too late he would never stop. Because children never tire of playing, and once you hear his laughter, you're already his toy.